howdy, howdy, everyone, and welcome again to the Lauren Musica Show. I'm your host, Lauren Musica, attorney and human rights advocate, and I serve as president CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. Now approaching the amazing milestone of 25,000 mothers and babies saved from abortion. So exciting. To God the glory. And a huge thank you to all of you who pray for us or who are trained sidewalk advocates and you go and do outreach in front of your local abortion facility and pray, or some of you give of your precious treasure to make all of this possible. I am so grateful to you. I can't even believe we're celebrating this milestone at this particular point in history. It really is so miraculous. So a huge thank you to you, and again, to God the glory. And I'm so excited to have you hanging out with me today once again. This is the very first hot take of the show's second season. If you haven't listened to the first two episodes of this new season, which kicked off at the very beginning of the year, you have to check it out. I first had with me Brandy Meeks of the Vitae Foundation. So this was just a couple weeks ago. And she talked about the best messaging to a woman considering abortion, what will help her to choose life. Again, she would know, the Vitae Foundation would know, they have the most comprehensive research on this front that actually spans a few decades. And so if you want to know how to help a friend or family member to choose life, you have to go listen to this episode. And then last week, I had a discussion with our very own Nate Robertson about men in the movement and on the sidewalk. We kind of addressed the elephant in the room, right? Are they really any good on the sidewalk, especially compared to women? Should men really have as strong a voice in the movement? Are they just as effective at saving lives? So Nate and I unpacked that together last week. Really interesting discussions on both fronts and really essential things for us to think through if we love the cause of life and family. So I hope you'll take a moment to check it out after you check out this hot take. Now, if you haven't joined me for a hot take before, it's my short and sweet take on something hot in the news or the culture. And this week, what I wanted to address was the new year, our new president who will take office just days from now, and where we as a pro-life, pro-love, pro-family movement go from here. So let's go ahead and dive in. We are just days away from President Trump becoming the 47th president of the United States. Only one time in history did a president disappear for one term only to come back and be president again. And that was Grover Cleveland in 1893. Wow. So history is being made as we speak. It was in an earlier hot take last season that I unpacked a little bit of this. But in short, those of us who are pro-life and pro-family have a lot to be thankful for with this new administration. So I picked my top 4 things, and I'll rattle these off. Number 1, oh my gosh, we will not have a weaponized FBI and DOJ that is just chomping at the bit to throw pro-lifers in jail for just about anything. So you all may remember the case of Mark Houck a couple years ago, just to give you one example. This was a man who was charged under the FACE Act, so that's the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, for shoving an abortion center escort who was verbally accosting his young son while they prayed and sidewalk counseled near an abortion facility. Now, yes, you could make the argument that Mark shouldn't have shoved the guy, but the idea that Mark should be a convicted felon for it, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's just crazy. The FACE Act, more so, can tell you this as an attorney, has to do with inhibiting people from entering a so-called reproductive health facility or church or related as prescribed in the act. It has nothing to do with a simple kerfluffle down the sidewalk from an abortion facility where a father is trying to protect his young son from a jerk-face abortion center escort. Now, Mark was rightly found not guilty, but us pro-lifers have had to live with the knowledge these last couple of years that the Biden administration is going to be looking for anything to throw us prospectively into federal prison. I will tell you, we at Sidewalk Advocates for Life have 282 teams in front of abortion and abortion referral centers all over the United States and beyond. We have not been threatened under the FACE Act. However, we also know that they're looking for that +1. The Biden and Harris administration were looking for somebody to kind of push the line just a little bit. And we just told our folks, look, you can't have a bad day on the sidewalk. Of course, all of our volunteers signed a pledge of integrity saying that they're going to adhere to a certain set of core values: peaceful, prayerful, loving, and law-abiding. And that has protected us. It's kept us on the sidewalk. It's allowed us to interface with just about everybody who walks into the abortion facility and everybody who's leaving. And so it really has benefited everybody for us to adhere to those core values. But either way, it's made us nervous, right? We've had to keep vigil for this. In this new administration, we will not have to deal with that. So thanks be to God. All right, number 2. We will have a seat at the table and then some. The Trump-Vance administration will not only be friendly, but welcoming to our cause. Arguably, Trump, at least in action, was the most pro-life president in our country's history. And he's going to, at the very least, be supportive of our efforts going forward. Now, all this being said, I don't have my head under a rock. I realize that he made some concerning comments during the election about abortion. To give you one example, he thought the Florida abortion ban went too far. As he said, went too far at 6 weeks. It's unfortunate. He also voiced his support for chemical abortion. He voiced his support of the so-called exceptions of rape, incest, and life of the mother. And I understand some of you listening may agree with him. I hope to win you over on that. That's a whole other show, right? And then his wife, Melania, released a memoir supporting abortion, like days before the election. So it's fair to say that the Trumps are kind of moderate when it comes to abortion. And it just really shows that we've got work to do in educating them and the culture around them. But they do support the pro-life states in crafting their own abortion bans, and everything points to the fact that they laud the work of the pro-life movement and will remain an ally, especially compared to the Biden-Harris administration, the most pro-abortion administration in the history of this country. All right, number 3, we expect Trump to nominate justices and judges who will uphold our God-given right to life. Thanks to Trump, we have Supreme Court Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett on the high court who voted to overturn Roe versus Wade. The decision, yes, that imposed abortion on demand on all 50 states in 1973. Then we've got a slew of federal judges that Trump previously appointed who are cut from the same conservative cloth. We have every indication he's going to hold the line going forward and that our judiciary is going to benefit from principled jurists who don't craft law. That's not their job. That's the job of the legislature. We want them to interpret the law. That's what they're supposed to do. Interpret the law as written, and thus they're willing to throw out bad decisions like Roe versus Wade. Number 4, there's a decent chance that the Trump administration is going to finally defund Planned Parenthood, America's largest abortion provider, or abortion empire, as they really should be called. The Department of Government Efficiency, otherwise known as DOJ, I think I said that right, DOJ, D-O-G-E, is a proposed presidential advisory commission in the United States to be led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Famous American entrepreneurs and businessmen, they have been charged by Trump in the new administration to cut government overspending. Well, as they've done a glance at where our money is going, where our tax dollars are going, they have proposed defunding Planned Parenthood. And I don't know about you, but I am here for it. I am so excited. It is about time. We have been wanting to get that done for a long time. So I'm very hopeful, especially because we don't just have Trump, but we have a pro-life Senate and House. I mean, this was a sweep, folks. In fact, the U.S. Senate plans to vote on a bill to ensure that unborn babies who are born during botched abortions receive potentially life-saving medical care. That's just days away. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said, as thousands of pro-life Americans come to Washington for the 52nd annual March for Life, which, by the way, I'll be at, will take up the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. This vote will ask Democrats to answer whether a living baby born after an attempted abortion should be provided with medical care or be left to die. It shouldn't be a hard question. Many of you may not know that currently 35 states have at least some protections for babies born alive after an abortion. Unfortunately, only 19 states require that the newborn be immediately transferred to a hospital, that a healthcare practitioner renders the same care to a child born alive after an abortion to any other child born alive at the same gestational age, and that any failure to comply be reported. All three of these are requirements in the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. That is good news. I mean, yes, it is sad. It is sad that this is something that needs a vote. But I'm grateful we're going to potentially enshrine this common sense measure into law across the nation. And then if you're someone who isn't just a social conservative, but a fiscal conservative as well, there's hope that all the way around, we're entering an age, a golden age, as the pundits are calling it, where both the family and the economy could thrive. Now, just to acknowledge this, is Trump the perfect president? No. Or the perfect man, right? He isn't. No one really is. But I'm hopeful that he could have another great term that benefits the causes we all hold so dear. So let's wait and see, and let's hold their feet to the fire. With that, I turn back to you as we roll into this new year. And I want to encourage you and ask you, have you gotten quiet yet? Have you sat with the Lord? Have you asked him what he wants to do through you this new year, especially when it comes to the greatest human rights battle on earth? Again, I cannot think of any greater cause to be involved with than the cause of life. It's our first and greatest gift apart from Jesus Christ himself, at least if you're a believer. You know, it's true that after Roe versus Wade was overturned a couple years ago, we suffered some defeats at the ballot box. I mean, those were gut punches. We have states that voted on their abortion law, and many people of faith and conscience ended up voting for abortion until the point of birth because they didn't understand what it was they were voting for. The abortion lobby scared women into believing that if they didn't vote for this crazy liberal abortion law, they might be refused emergency pregnancy services like ethical ectopic pregnancy treatment, emergency early delivery, or miscarriage management, which, by the way, is a lie. It's allowed in all 50 states. It's ridiculous how badly, how masterfully the abortion lobby has scared women and families. But this last November, a few states won on the pro-life front. They were able to preserve their abortion ban, and we pushed back and we showed the abortion lobby that when states vote, it isn't a given that they'll be able to scare people into voting for abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy. Going forward, I submit to you that this is a battle within us first and foremost. So my question to you is, what are you going to do in your local community to affect change? What are you going to do in your immediate harvest field to build a culture of life? What are you going to do in your backyard to make a difference? Pro-life communities make pro-life states, and pro-life states make pro-life nations, and pro-life nations make a pro-life world. And even if we live in a pro-life state, did you know that it's possible for a state to vote to be pro-abortion later? It is not a given that Texas and Louisiana and Tennessee will stay pro-life. So here's what I recommend that everyone do. 3 simple things. Number 1, I encourage you to get quiet and to pray. Go into prayer. Open that dialogue with God because he knows best how to end abortion in your community, your state. Number 2, I want you to ask him and then listen. Have you ever done that before? Like actually just asked a question and then gone silent, not inserted your own answer or, try to pontificate about what he might say. Have you ever just gotten quiet and just listened for a few minutes, for 10 minutes? I love to, a lot of times, grab a piece of paper, a journal, and write down what I think the Lord is saying. It really just helps me kind of get clear with what it is that I think I'm hearing. And then number 3 is to be unafraid to act, be unafraid to walk that out. Guys, it is not enough to dream, to think, to believe. Yes, that's important, right? If you don't believe it, chances are you're not going to want to march it out. But a dream just remains a dream unless you make the decision to actually walk that out, right? Some of y'all keep getting a tug on your heart to go build that pregnancy center or bring a mobile unit to your community so that you can service women right in front of the abortion facility. Some of you have for a long time been wanting to get to the sidewalk to pray and to offer life-affirming alternatives to those going into your local facility. I mean, really, the real battle is within you. Maybe you're asking, who am I to do this? Who am I to do this? Imposter syndrome, as they call it, right? And my response to that is, you are a child of God, and your playing small serves no one. If you feel like the tug on your heart may be from God, I want to encourage you to listen to that and be unafraid to say yes, and he will provide. Yes, you may have to seek, ask, knock for those resources, but as you do your part, as you begin to walk this out and just do the next right thing and the next right thing, rest assured, he will show up and he will do his. But bottom line, know that our yes to God is always a yes to a great adventure. God can't move a parked car, so I just encourage you, get moving. He will steer you. And remember that there are some people that only you can reach. There are some people who are praying today for what you will be able to offer. So if nothing else, just go for it. Start moving. You're going to know pretty quickly if it's from him or not. Again, remember that pro-life communities make pro-life states make pro-life nations create a pro-life world. Law follows culture, culture being the hearts of the people. And as you commit to praying, advocating, educating, showing up, standing up, that is how you create a ripple effect that has the power to not only change the law, but the world. So go for it and know that I'm cheering you on. All right. Well, that's a wrap on the first hot take of this new season. Join me next week. We'll be back here next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life Facebook page, YouTube channel, or wherever you get podcasts. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks so much.